boss ladies to the What We Doing podcast. I am your host, Sharmaine Crouch, the boss broker, better known as your Carolina lifestyle realtor, aka your favorite boss bestie. And today I have the honor and privilege to have one of my favorite people on earth, like real talk, one of my favorites, to join us today. And today we are going to be talking about Black women in mental health. So y'all already know how that space is. It's a new thing, fairly new, last couple years in our community. Mental health has kind of been a topic of discussion. And so who better to ask to come and join us on the What We Doing podcast than the Dr. Crystal Currie. Y'all give Crystal Currie a hand. Give her a hand.
So happy
in the
to
chat.
be here.
Yes.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, absolutely.
This is beautiful. This is beautiful.
That's what we doing. We're picking out 2024.
Yes.
Yes. So I wanted to, number one, again, just thank you for taking the time out to join us and have a real conversation. So this is a very serious topic. Disclaimer, I am not licensed. I ain't been to school for nothing. Psychology, none of that. But I wanted to make sure with this topic that I did bring someone that could share knowledge, and not just knowledge. We are going to share some experience, personal experience, and things like that to help other women.
Yep.
And so that's what we're doing today. So Crystal, what made you become a therapist?
Woo child. I'm gonna get a short version.
Okay.
So essentially, when my parents gave birth to me, they were 13 and 14 years old, babies, right? Never together. They were neighbors, lived across the street from each other, but they were merged for a lifetime because of me. And so, of course, because they were so young, I grew up with my mother predominantly starting at the age of 5, and we grew up together. And so she was unexperienced in a lot of things. I've seen a lot. I've experienced a lot. I am a parent-fied child, right? The oldest. And I did not recognize how unhealthy I was until I started college and I was getting into relationships. And so I started digging and trying to figure out like what was wrong with me. Why was I attracting these people and, you know, being mismanaged and misused and all of these things. And when I identified that it was because of my home of origin, issues, mama wounds, daddy wounds, I was then shamed and shunned because of my verbalization of what happened to me. Wow. And there was no spaces for me as a Black woman to live in my truth and also heal without someone saying, well, they did the best that they could, or you should be grateful that you have 2 parents are still alive. You should honor them while they're still alive. You're being dishonorable. God doesn't like that. You're shortening your lives. And I was shamed for trying to heal. And so I said, okay, God, because you know, I'm a believer, even though I'm a therapist, right? I said, God, okay, if you help me with this, I will create other spaces for people like me. And so that is how I got here.
Come on, William Vessel. And disclaimer, we believe in therapy here at the What We Doing podcast.
Yes.
We believe in therapy and theology.
Hey, amen.
Okay, so just so you know, Crystal is my therapist. Oh my gosh, y'all. She's amazing. Let me just say that.
Sweet.
She's amazing. So it was something that you said about when you went to college and you said you were a parented child. What did you say?
I was a parent-fied child.
Parent-fied child. What does that mean?
So as a child, I became emotionally responsible for the adults around me, and I had adult-like responsibility. So caring for my younger sibling, because, you know, my mom, you know, she had to work. You know, I was a latchkey kid, right? Don't open the door for nobody. Don't turn on the stove, you know, make you something in the microwave, you know? And so I, from a very young age, develop an ability to put other people's needs before my own, right? Because naturally, right? So as an adult, we call that a people pleaser, because the adults around me did not have the capacity to meet my needs. So I thought that if I did what they wanted me to do, then I would get from them what I needed. So I became really, really good at recognizing different characteristics in people or what people wanted from me. And then I would do that in hopes of getting what I needed from them.
So she just went, she just see this, that curveball right there. We had a conversation before the camera came on about the curveballs. But okay, people pleasing.
Yep.
That's major.
Yep.
So let me go back a little bit. When it comes to Black women in general, and just wanting to have a space where they can go and get help.
Yes.
Why or do you feel like it's a challenge? Because we know that Black women make up a small percentage of therapists or licensed counselors. So do you feel like that can be a problem for Black women? Like, do you feel like it's something that can be done to help Black women, or even be just more open to getting therapy, knowing that there's not a lot of us out there?
Yeah. So I think we first have to really talk about how we are as Black women are raised, right?
Yeah.
So as Black women, we are raised by Black women who were in survival mode, right? They did not have the opportunity to feel.
Yeah.
So when they raised us from a very wounded place of themselves. They raised us with their own wounds, their own fears. And so we were raised to be strong and not break, right? You were raised and you were taught things like whatever happens in this house stays in this house. So as an adult, whatever happens in my head stays in my head. And I can't let any outsider know that I am weak in any area because, you know, we are built not to break.
Yeah.
But as Black women, we do break, right?
God,
and so when we're looking for a therapist, as Black women, we tend to be very critical of who we let in.
Facts.
Right?
Yeah.
We tend to be very critical about, okay, are you good? Are you great? What's this gonna feel like? Are you gonna be exactly what I need? What's the shame? How this gonna feel? Am I ready? Do I got what it takes? And it's all of these questions before we even look up a therapist.
Yeah, that's true. I know before I started, first of all, thank you for all the free years of therapy. Allowing me to call your phone, fix your phone. I just love you. For years, you have been servicing me and helping me with just mental health in general and just being open and coming to talk to you about certain things that I've been going through way before I actually retained you as my therapist, if you may say that. And so I wanted to ask you, like, with other or majority of therapists being other races, like, is that something that we should be more open to as a Black woman? Or does that require us to kind of go through some things to kind of let some of those barriers or those walls down first? You know, all the questioning, you know, should we just kind of jump in it with whoever we see that may help us if they don't look like us, or should we kind of try to find someone that we can relate to?
I really think it's where you are,
Okay.
right, and what you are seeking from therapy. You have to really know, like, what am I going to therapy for? Because if you are going to therapy for, let's say, for example, childhood trauma, and you have a really good therapist in your area that is white, you should go to the white therapist because she has what you need to heal.
Yeah.
Right? I, as a therapist, all of my clientele are not Black women.
Right.
I have clients that are white men. I have clients that are white women, right? Because I have the skill to address what they need. If I don't understand something about their culture, I'm going to ask, right? I'm going to ask for them to educate me. But you really have to know what you need, and you have to be open and trusting that that person has the education and the skills to give you what you need. You're not coming to therapy to meet with your homegirl.
Right.
You're coming to therapy to get treatment. You're not coming to therapy to get scriptures.
Right.
That's for your pastor, right? You're coming to therapy to get treatment.
Yeah. And that's good. So would you say that, like, the cultural differences or stigma impacts Black women when it comes to their decisions for a therapist or a counselor, a licensed counselor, someone that they can go to? Because I know for me, I feel more comfortable where I feel like the people can relate to me.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, if they don't look like me, they may not always have. Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of people have been through a lot of the same struggles regardless of race.
Yeah, yeah.
But maybe it's just something that makes me feel more comfortable going to someone that looks like me.
Yeah, yeah. And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. And, you know, I'm a therapist that I always challenge my clients to question,
Yeah.
like, why do you think that way?
Yeah.
You know, maybe you were taught unknowingly to not trust white people.
Yeah.
Right? So if you were taught unknowingly to trust white people, you're not going to trust a white therapist,
Yeah.
right? If you want to go because you want to have that familiarity, and when you say something or when you say slang, your counselor gets
Understand.
it. Yeah, they get it. They understand. You know? No cap. Understood. No questions asked.
Yes.
It is okay to see a black therapist. And with the so the counseling field in itself did not consider clients who were not white until the 1960s.
Okay.
So as a field, we are a little behind, but we're doing a lot to catch up.
Right.
So now the counseling field is to a place where you can see a therapist that doesn't live in your state. That used to not be a thing.
Right.
So there are some black women who live in desert towns where there are not a lot of therapists of color. But now things are happening and progressing to where you can find a therapist that looks like you but doesn't live in your state, and you can, meet with them, and that's helpful too.
Gotcha. So how does the expectation to be like resilient when we're talking about stereotypes of the black woman? So how does the expectation to be resilient and self-reliant affect black women's mental health?
I think being self-reliant, and what was the other one? The other
Resilient.
Resilient. I think self-reliance and resilient is a great characteristic to have.
I love it.
It is absolutely
I love it.
amazing.
Yeah.
If you use it right.
Okay.
Yes.
And so how can you use it wrong?
Yes. Being self-reliant and being resilient is a characteristic that was birthed from trauma. People who did not have to be self-reliant are not self-reliant.
Yeah.
People who did not have to be resilient are not resilient. So if you say to me, I am very self-reliant and I am very resilient, that lets me know that you've probably been mismanaged, dropped. That means that people who were supposed to take care of you did not. Yeah. There are broken promises, lack of trust. You probably have a general mistrust of people across the board.
So it seems like it's generated more so from a place of survival.
Yes. Yes, and where it comes in, where it becomes unhealthy, is when you are so self-reliant and self-resilient that you have a story in your head that you don't need anybody. And your behavior reflects that.
Yeah.
You have no community, not because you don't have community, but because every day you make a decision not to lean into the community that you have, because you don't have a trust of people, right?
Yeah. So is that like a conscious thing, or is that like a subconscious thing? Because I know, like right now, we already know, I'm just gonna touch on a little bit. So right now, I'm kind of in a space where I'm looking to do something new, which is outside of my comfort zone. And I'm kind of like toggling in between the two spaces of what's comfortable, what's familiar, even though it's not healthy, and just doing what I know is necessary or needed for where I am right now and where I want to go. Because I know that I cannot live in isolation. In order for me to thrive and move forward, it has to be community, team, someone. It can't just be me.
Right.
So with that being said, it's kind of like, I think a lot of black women have a hard time opening up. And I think that it's more so of a safety thing.
It is. It is. It is absolutely a safety thing. And so when you're closed off and you're not opening up, it is absolutely understandable because of what you're experiencing.
Yeah.
However, what's not fair, and we'll use this as an example, like if I'm your new friend, Sharmaine, and I'm showing up for you, I'm consistent, I'm edifying you, I've never done or showed you anything that was unhealthy or like I was gonna harm you, yet you keep me out because of what somebody else did, I don't understand why I have to keep paying for what they
someone
did.
else did. Correct.
Right, and it's unfair, but I feel like sometimes that's what we do, as black women in an effort to preserve and keep ourselves safe.
So does that kind of go hand in hand with self-care? Like, is there a true thing as self-care or balance when it comes to self-care?
Yeah, so I don't believe in balance.
Okay.
I believe in finding a rhythm.
Please explain.
Yes, so in balance, it's like I gotta be a 100% mama, right? I gotta be 100% business owner. I gotta be 100% student. I gotta be 100% daughter. And that is impossible. I can't be all things to all things all the time.
Right.
However, I can create a rhythm in my life where there are some seasons in my life where my children need 100% and my job is only getting 40. Where I can't deal with my people because they're getting on my nerves, so they only getting 10%.
Yeah.
And me as a student is getting, 90. And it creates an ebb and a flow, and it creates a rhythm. And then I look at the melody of my life, and I like how it sounds, and I like how it feels, right? Because it is what I need in this season.
Yeah.
And in the next season, it may change.
Yeah.
My kids are good, so they only need 40% of me, right? My job is picking up, so it needs 90% of me, right? But I'm just doing and I'm giving whatever my life needs at the time.
I love that. And I think that's why a lot of times as women, you just broke it down, we wear many hats.
Many hats.
We daughter, sister, auntie, fiance, girlfriend, baby mama, wife.
Yes.
Like we employees, employers, we're all the things. We wear so many hats, and it's so easy for us to get depleted and exhausted.
So depleted.
So like, does that have to do with how we are physically exhausting ourselves because mentally we can't take on all of these things? We're trying to give every single thing 100%, like you said.
Yep. I read a great quote. I do not know who it's from, so if y'all know, put it in the chat. And it said, when people say you can't pour from an empty cup, the quote said, everything in the cup is yours. The overflow is for everyone else.
Yeah.
Right? So if you are always operating from an overflow, you will never get depleted because you always have what you need.
Right. So how do you get to a place where you are operating in overflow? Like, what does that look like? Because, so even with like the friends and things like that, even just with, I know I'm giving you like a lot of questions.
It's okay.
Like, for instance, I tell people that I love, people that I'm close to, or just whomever, like call me if you need me, I'm here, let me know if you need anything, things like that. When sometimes I should not say that because I'm not in that particular moment when I say it, I'm not in a space of overflow.
Yes.
My glass may be half full, half empty, however you view it. But like, how does that, what do we need to do? What we doing?
So a lot of us unknowingly operate from a space of fear.
Yeah.
Right?
All right.
So why are you smiling?
Because I'm smiling. Let's continue. Shots fired. Pew, pew, pew.
And when you say, for example, like the example you use, I know I don't have nothing to give.
Right.
But I'm fearful of what will happen if this person does not know that they can come to me. I'm fearful how I'll be perceived if I don't show up, even if I don't have anything. I'm fearful of what will happen to my kids if I don't address this thing right now. I'm fearful that if I don't heal and do what I need to do, then my children will experience the same heartbreak and trauma that I experienced, and that would be devastating,
Absolutely.
right? I'm fearful if I don't get up and answer these emails and answer this phone call, then I'm gonna miss this, and then it's gonna impact me as a, business owner or an employee, right? It's so much fear that is fueling you, and fear is never satisfied.
Woo, God.
It is never satisfied.
Fear is never satisfied.
It is never satisfied. So you will always be operating from lack because you're always giving into not what is needed, but into the fear and the appetite that fear has.
Bars.
Let
me tell y'all something. Okay. Family expectations. So like you said, not just family, but friends or whoever your circle is.
Yes.
The fear of, if I don't do this, then this is going to happen. And I don't want to deal with that. So I'm going to overexert myself because I'm afraid to deal with that, or I don't want to deal with that, or I don't want to upset anyone else. So I make myself overly available, pouring from a half-empty glass.
Half-empty glass.
Oh, my God.
And then you look up and where's my help?
Ain't got none.
Ain't got no help. Who gonna help me? Right? Mad, depleted, tired, no support, no help. But that's your fault.
That's my fault.
It's your fault. I'm not saying you. Yeah. Right. But that's you created this. Right? We have to, as women, take accountability for what we have created.
This episode of What We Doing podcast is brought to you by Coffee Bar and Cones, the new gym in the University area of Charlotte. Their coffee is imported by the lush farms of San Juan, Puerto Rico, and it features unique rum, whiskey, and tequila infusions. Please join them in the variety of delicious flavor ice creams, including vegan options, and don't forget to tell them that Sharmaine Crouch, the Boss Broker, sent you.
Speaking of what we created as women, trickling down to our children, the expectations of motherhood and how that can be or cause some women to go into a bad mental health space. What advice would you give to a mother who's just trying to do things differently? They don't want their own personal traumas to reflect on their children. Maybe they have their children young like your mother had you, and maybe their child has been through a lot with them as they were growing, and now they're in a different space, and they're doing all they can, so they think, to try to help and make sure that their children does not, take on their trauma. So the expectations of being a mother and keeping ourselves in a good, I'm saying hour because I'm a mom of two. But keeping ourselves on the up and up when it comes to our mental health.
First, and me being a mama of two, right? Being a mama is hard.
It is. Ain't no handbook.
There is no handbook, but I can even challenge that.
Okay.
I can challenge that, and then I'll answer your question. I can challenge that in the sense of, if I go to any Black woman's office or their home, right? They're going to have books about what interests them and what they're passionate about.
Facts.
Their business. The porosity of their hair. Right? Relationships, whatever it is, right? But when I ask Black mothers, what books do you have to learn about child development and raising kids? They most likely say none.
I got two. I ain't ready yet. I need to, but I got two.
I encourage every mother, wherever you struggle in your parenting, to start studying your struggle. You become an expert in whatever you're struggling at as a mother. Right? There is so many resources out, books out, YouTube videos. And so I ask, are you struggling because you don't know how to, or are you struggling because you don't have the information to do? Because if you have trauma, your only reference for parenting is how you were parented.
Right. So, oh gosh. So what advice would you give someone? Because it seems like the millennials, I'm a millennial, right? So shout out to the millennials. Shout out. So it seems like we're the ones that are really open to trying to seek help mentally and trying to change things and trying to switch things up, trying to better ourselves and not repeat the cycles. And so how do we need to navigate those relationships with parents who are not, they're like totally against everything that we're doing, or maybe not so much so against it, they're just like, they don't understand it. So even with like parenting your children, and the grandparents are like, well, why are you doing it like this? Or if your child, you let your child tell you how to, it's like, for me, I do allow my children to kind of say how they feel, as long as it's respectful. I want my children to be able to talk to me and feel comfortable talking to me and not have to feel like they got to go outside of our home to get answers or to seek validation or whatever it is, because they're not getting it at home. Because in the household, first of all, what stays in our house, what goes on in the house stays in the house. You know how they go. And they're just shushing them like they don't have a voice.
Right.
So what advice would you give a mother who's kind of in that situation where their parents may not understand and they're trying to solidify or give their child a safe space to break those cycles?
When it comes, being a cycle breaker is one of the hardest things you would do in your life, right? Because you are in the middle, right? You are cultivating healthy children while trying to manage these unhealthy people in your life who have a difficulty seeing anything outside of what they know, right? I always say, I'm going to communicate to inform, not to persuade.
That's good.
You ask me a question, I'm going to give you the information, but I do not take responsibility for getting you to believe it. Right?
Yeah.
So if you have people in your life that are challenging your new way of doing things, you can communicate to them and inform them on why, but release yourself of the responsibility of trying to change their mind.
Ooh, release yourself.
Release.
That's good.
That's not your responsibility. And if it gets to a point, because it gets to a point where now you're being disrespectful.
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely.
And for anybody in your life who is disrespectful, there has to be something that comes when you're disrespected. And just because you have a title in my family doesn't give you the right to be openly disrespectful to me. So now I have to make a choice about how much access you have to me, because I am a prize.
For sure.
Right? It is an honor to be in my life.
Ooh, I love that.
It is an honor to be in my life.
It
It is an honor to be here.
Yeah.
Right? And if you don't do what it takes to earn your place and to sustain your place in my life, that is up to you. Yeah. But I don't have to accept what you give me just because of who you are.
Yeah. So that, all of that is good. So with creating a new design, a new culture, if you must say, for your own family, your children, how you guys decide to push forward and cultivate your household, morals, values, things like that. Is it okay to kind of have those conversations with your children? Because sometimes children can get put in the middle of that.
They can.
And they are kind of torn between what Papa, Nana, Auntie, whomever, you know, what they're doing and how they are versus what's being told and taught in this household. So how do you, is it okay to have those type of conversations with your children to prepare them and let them know, hey, this is what we're doing. You should do it like this. If you have any questions, you know, ask me about it. We can talk about it. Like, how do you go forward with that?
Yeah, it can be really hard when your kids are in the middle.
Yeah.
But if you haven't started and you are a mom, you have to be very clear with your children about what y'all believe in your household.
Yeah.
So for example, you can say, and your children know, in our household, we believe that what you say matters.
Absolutely.
Your voice matters. How you feel matters, right? And in our family, we are respectful of how people feel and we are respectful about how people say. How does this help? So when you have people, right, grandma, auntie, uncle, who is not acknowledging your voice and disrespectful to your feelings, when you go to your kids and say, hey, we probably won't be able to go over Uncle Joey's house because he doesn't respect my feelings and he doesn't respect my voice. Your kids get it and they see how to operate in their own life.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So what are some common coping strategies used by Black women to help like manage their stress or manage their mental health space? Like what do you see, you know, just from your clients, not being specific, but just in general, or just being out in the communities trapped? Because sis just came back, y'all, sis just came back from Bulgaria. And then she flew over to Germany. So just from your experience, like what are some things that you're seeing in our community that Black women are using as like coping mechanisms?
Yeah, they overeat, they overspend, and they overwork.
That's good.
Yeah.
All three?
All three.
All three of them.
Because there is a desire to add to themselves, because deep down there is a belief or a thought that who they are, what they're doing, and what they have is not enough.
Yeah. So it's like they're trying to find a supplement.
Yeah. And then when you got Amazon boxes by the door that have not been opened.
Don't talk about me in front of my face like this.
That
this
have
is bad.
You don't even know what's in them.
I forgot.
You don't even know what's in it. You don't even know what's in it. You just snacking.
Yeah.
Having difficulty emotionally regulating. So let me get these chips. Let me get something sweet and salty because it makes me feel good. It makes me feel better. Carbs, right? Get these French fries. It makes me feel good. And overworking, right? I feel good when I'm at work because I'm accomplishing things. I'm doing something good, right? I'm being celebrated. I'm being acknowledged. And so you do those things in overdrive. And that is how you coping. But deep down inside, there's a void.
Right. Oh, God. I'm over here holding my chest, my breath, all the things. Because that was me.
Okay.
That was me. Like, okay, overeating. I'm a snacker.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm a foodie in general. I love food. I love snacks. I love all the things. I'm single, so on the left side of my bed is like Now Lay's, Gushers, salt and vinegar potato chips, Ranch Lay's dip.
Jesus, you got a whole convenience store.
Baby, it's out, drawers, snacks. Don't touch it, kids. Yeah, so it's real bad. So, but overworking, I overworked myself so much that I was taking a lot away from my children. So I had to learn how to find my rhythm, not balance, but find my rhythm. And so, don't get me wrong, I was, overspending. And so I had to learn just from what you're saying is 100% valid, 100% true, because I came from that space and I don't snack as much. Yes, I have my snack drawer, but I literally don't touch it nowhere near it like I used to. Like, it was so bad that I would wake up in the middle of the night, eat. Don't do me.
No.
Don't do me.
Who wakes up at night? So you eat a chip, then go back to bed?
Y'all, ladies, if I am not the only one who will wake up in the middle of the night eating snacks, make sure you put your hand up, the little hand up emoji saying me. Don't be ashamed. It's okay.
So you would eat a chip, then go back to sleep?
Yeah. So it wouldn't be chips. It would be Gushers.
You would eat Gushers and
chew.
No.
Not. Wake up, look. Red juice slobber coming out my mouth on the pillow. God dang, now I gotta watch some pillowcase. But yeah, it used to be so bad, but now I don't do that nowhere near as much. Now I do have a bad habit of purchasing things, like going shopping. Amazon is like, Prime Day coming up.
Yep, you don't need it.
I ain't gonna do it.
You don't need
I ain't gonna
it.
do it. 16, 17, I ain't gonna do it.
You don't.
Yeah, we're not gonna do that. I'm not even gonna look at Prime. So, but yeah, so I'm just saying that to say that is very much so valid. So we have to can you give us tips on healthy habits, things that we can do instead of trying to find those things to supplement, where we can keep our little coin in our pocket, we can maybe keep our weight down if we stop snacking so much, and really get ourselves together to become healthier physically and develop healthier habits. What are some things that we can do?
Oh, the biggest one is to be honest with yourself. Okay. Become a habitual person that is honest with yourself. And what that looks like is questioning why. Why do I have, for example, these snacks? Yeah. Why can't they go in the kitchen?
Well, it's downstairs, and I don't want to go downstairs at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm just telling you why. I'm telling you why I got my snacks. And then to God send me my husband. Then it's just habit. But I'm learning how to break the habit. I'm working on it. So
we could even say that maybe the reason why you have the snacks in the drawer is because you want comfort in the middle of the night and you're single. You don't, maybe there's some feelings of loneliness, right? Want some companionship. Yep. Eating gives you immediate comfort.
That's good. Okay.
Yeah. So being very honest with yourself about why you are doing things. And if there are things that you don't like that you're doing, create a plan of victory to stop doing those things, right? Also, another habit is to go out and be with other people, right? Yeah. Find a community, whether it's running, walking, sewing, cooking, church, whatever it is, be amongst other people, right? You are made to live in isolation. You do need to be in community, right? The more community you have, the stronger your mental health will be. There was a research study, let me say that.
Okay, go ahead.
That just came out. I discovered it when I went to Europe, that said children of mothers who have community, an increase in income, and therapy are extremely successful.
I believe that wholeheartedly.
You absolutely do. No more going to work and coming home.
Yeah.
And sometimes as mom, we use our kids as an excuse. Well, so-and-so got this, they need that. And then, yes, go out and be with other people.
That's good. That's good. So I'm going to ask you these last 2 questions, and then we're going to kind of change it up a little bit.
Okay.
So what advice would you give to a woman who's on a journey to find her voice but doesn't feel heard?
Oh my gosh, that used to be me.
Yeah.
I did not talk.
What?
I didn't know.
I can't believe
I did not used to talk.
You didn't used to talk?
No, because I mean, my life experiences made me feel like I couldn't trust what I had to say.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Wow.
And that nobody wanted to hear what I had to say. And so for those who are looking to find their voice, it starts with you trusting yourself,
Yeah.
right? Trusting that what you have to say is valuable, but you also cannot be responsible for how what you say make other people feel.
That's good.
I'm a type of therapist that I tell my clients, oh, did you cuss somebody out today? Oh, that is amazing.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Because you don't know how to use your words. So if where you're starting where I just had to let it out, that's great. Let's start somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, and then we can reel it back, right? You flipped over a table today. That is amazing.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you're showing emotions, because if you're not talking, you're also not showing emotions either, right? Those go hand in hand, right? So you're showing emotions, great, you know? So just be trust what you have to say. Do not be concerned or feel responsible for how what you say make other people feel. Okay?
Yeah, I remember just kind of going back, I remember, I think it was the first Cycle Breakers conference that you had, and you said, you don't get to cause me trauma and tell me how to heal.
That is exactly right.
That thing, I said.
You don't get to do that. And that was me finding my voice.
Yeah.
Like, you don't get to mute me because you don't like what I have to say and it's the truth.
Yeah.
You don't get to mute me because I am speaking what happened to me and you still want it to be a secret. You don't get to do that. I'm grown.
Big grown.
Big grown. Don't need nothing from you. Ain't asked nothing from you. You don't get to do that. I get to tell my own story.
Yeah. That's something that has caused me to ignite and relaunch Bosses R Us and kind of really hone into where I'm going. And as women, you know, this space of community with women, it's very important that we find our voice. It's very important that you become comfortable with how you feel. One thing recently Crystal has taught me in therapy is to be okay with my emotions, learn to feel my emotions. I'm like, well, ain't that the same thing? Your feelings and your emotions? She was like, no,
it's not.
So just learning that has been very helpful, and it has been a lot of what's made me progress. And so I'm glad that you said that, because it's real. It's a real thing. Okay, one more question.
Okay.
So, any given advice to a woman who desires to start a positive mental health lifestyle, but they don't necessarily have the resources? What advice would you give them? If someone's like, hey, you know, after watching this episode, I'm ready to put my best foot forward and start somewhere. I have to start somewhere. I don't want it bleeding out on my children, my family, my work, or anything like that. What advice would you give them?
And they don't have the resource, like the financial resources, like go to therapy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would definitely, YouTube, Instagram are great resources. TikTok, I don't trust TikTok. I don't trust nobody that talk mental health on TikTok.
Really?
And let me say, you have to be very careful about who you listen to.
That's facts.
So before you listen to the person, Google their credentials.
Yeah.
Right? Google what they have done, the experience that they have, because there's some people out there that's talking, and before you know it, you are just weird.
Yeah.
So I think you can go and Google hashtag like mental health therapist, mental health counseling, and there are so many people who do webinars, YouTube videos on this information, and you can journal what you get from it.
Yeah.
And that's where you can start. You can plug into different activities and groups that's happening around you. Meetup is a great option. You can find like groups on Psychology Today, Therapy for Black Girls. There's different free groups. Therapists are doing it all the time.
Yeah.
And you can plug into that, but don't not do anything.
Right.
You can go to the library for free and get books. Take your utility bill, your ID, and they will give you a library card for free. And get you some mental health books.
Yeah.
Not self-help, mental health books.
Why not self-help?
Self-help doesn't dig deep enough.
Gotcha.
You need to dig deep.
That's good. Okay.
Yeah.
What is going on? I feel like I can breathe because you is spitting hot fire. Yes. Bar after bar after bar after bar after bar. This is real life, though.
This is real life. This is real life, and we have real situations, real scenarios, and we're real people.
Yeah. Yeah.
I needed somebody to say, hey, what they did to you was not right.
Yeah.
It is okay for you to feel that way. I needed somebody to say that. Well, nobody. They
Someone to validate your feelings.
Yes.
Yeah.
And to say, go this way, do this.
Guide you.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Those people tried to shame me and shun me.
And look at what they did. Look at what they got going, honey. They done developed a doctor.
Listen, impressed, okay?
I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so we're going to throw a little curveball, guys. Okay, so right now we're going to play a quick game.
Okay.
Now, this game may or may not be fun.
Okay.
But I'm going to throw out a few words. The game is called What We Doing Wordplay.
Oh, gosh, I like this. Okay.
So I'm going to throw out a word,
Okay.
and I want you to tell me the first thing that comes to your mind. It can be a single word. It can
Okay.
be a sentence. It can be
Okay.
a paragraph, whatever you got to
Okay.
say. Okay?
Okay.
Associated with this word.
Okay.
You ready?
Yep.
All right. The first word is stress.
No mess.
No mess.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Okay. And the second word is therapy.
Do it.
Do it.
Oh, no, it's going to be do it, save my life.
Save my life.
Save my life. My first therapist was a no-show, no-call.
Okay.
Went nervous. You know, first time going to therapy, you
Yeah.
nervous.
Yeah.
What's going to happen?
Yeah.
Went to her office. She wasn't there. Waited 30 minutes. Took me a year
To
to go
back.
back.
Yeah.
Took me a year. Found a therapist, Keena. She's absolutely amazing. She had her own childhood trauma. We related. Saved my life.
Yeah.
Saved my life.
I love that. And so the last word
Okay.
is cycle breakers.
Listen, either you want to be or you are. Only two types of people in this world. People that are cycle breakers and people that want to be cycle breakers. I love cycle breakers. They are the toughest, most resilient, intellectual, compassionate. I got your back. I'll fight through the fire. I'm doing it. I'm crying. I'm screaming, but I'm going to keep moving forward. People you will ever see in your life. Anyway, let me tell you something. I love cycle breakers because I get to see the evolution of them getting out of their own way.
That's good.
When they get out of their own way, they are absolutely unstoppable. They look different. They talk different. The people that they are around are different. You can't just tell them nothing. They're going to challenge you. They're going to question it. They can do it by themselves, but they're going to ask for help, right? Their kids are flourishing. They are blessed. They got money. Their house is clean. Everything is, I mean, it is just amazing to watch. Been able to do it for years, right? Cycle breakers are absolutely amazing.
I love that.
I love it.
I love that. I love that. I love
I love
that.
being a cycle breaker.
And I love you being a cycle breaker.
I love you being.
Good on you.
This is what breaking cycles will
This is what breaking cycles does, ladies.
And you're not even nowhere near finished.
No, I'm just now getting
You
started.
and look at that. You just getting started. And so my new phrase for cycle breakers is I've gone from statistic to statistical error. All of my life said I should have been one way. Today should look completely different. But I have completely eradicated what research said I should have been.
Oh, God. That is so good. I wish I can get up and run around this room.
Listen, and that is you. Completely had people saying what my life would be. And now this, you look good. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
What was the alternative?
Yeah, because what it's supposed to be like.
Yes.
What did you think?
Right, you lacked faith, not me.
Yeah, not me.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so I am honored to be a cycle breaker and with cycle breakers and who are just breaking the statistics.
I love that. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can continue to talk to you for hours.
This is so
I be feeling like
fun.
this when we have our Thursday session. I mean, our weekly sessions for therapy. Yeah, I be like, dang, I only get 50 minutes. Can I get an extra 15? Can I get an extra 15 minutes? But this has been amazing.
It's so
I
good.
thank you so much. I hope you ladies were able to gain something from this conversation. Whatever it is, whatever nuggets that Crystal has dropped on this episode, make sure that you guys drop it in the comments and tag her. Crystal, let the ladies know how they can get in contact with you and what you have going on.
Oh, you can, my website is Crystal Currie, CURRIE.com, and I am on Instagram, social media, all of those things at Crystal R. Currie. What do I have coming up? We have the Cycle Breakers meetup happening in the beginning of August. Cycle Breaker adults and their teens. I love the teens. We're tapping into that. We have the Healing the Inner Child retreat coming in the fall. So the inner child is a part of you that keeps and stores all of the trauma from your childhood. And so it is a one-day retreat where I sit down with a small group and we plow through it. It has been so effective. It's so effective, but it takes so much from me. I only do it every 4 years.
I love that.
Right.
I'll be there.
You'll be
Count me in.
Okay, it is amazing. It is absolutely amazing. So y'all go ahead and hurry up and register because I started promoting it back in March. So we're almost, So it's okay. And so you can join the collective and get you the Cycle Breakers Collective and get you a Cycle Breaker accountability partner. And these women meet weekly on their own. And they have their own goals that they're breaking, trying to build that community. So, and we do webinars and challenges, and it's tough.
It's tough.
But it works.
It works.
It works.
It's good.
Yeah.
But maybe week 1, I was like, what? I got to do what? We got to do what?
I come up with all the assignments, all the challenges to address a specific part. And so July, we've been dealing with journaling. August, we're dealing with imposter syndrome. September, we're dealing with the inner child. October, we're dealing with relationships. So
I love that. I love that. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I know I love you so much.
I love you too. I love all my Cycle Breakers, all my clients,
Listen,
everybody.
I have the best therapist in the world. Okay,
That's so
so she
sweet.
has given you ladies her information, how you can find her, how you can follow her, how you can join our community, this community of women. As we continue to go on this journey of healing and transformation and vulnerability. No one left behind. This is a legit safe space. I said that in the very first episode. And so these are the type of conversations that we will continue to have here on the What We Doing podcast. So make sure that you subscribe, hit that subscribe button so that you can get all notifications for all things What We Doing. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for joining us. See you soon. Yeah. This episode of What We Doing podcast is brought to you by S. Crouch Real Estate, powered by Lifestyle International Realty. Turn your dreams into keys in the Carolinas.